Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina's 3rd District. He voted yes on the big, beautiful bill in the House. Good morning to you. Boy, things are getting pretty wild there in Washington as this thing tries to cross the finish line. You weren't initially satisfied, Congressman, with the bill. What changed your mind?
You know, Marnie, I think this still is a bill in process. I'm for about 80%, 10% I'm indifferent, and 10% I really want to see change. I do want to see some improvements. And so, Musk has a point to something, but also, Elon's done a lot for the country, but he's not an elected official. We have to listen to different constituencies. I've been in discussions with my senators from North Carolina on things that I think can be improved in the bill. We're going to move forward. This may not be, hopefully it's not the only reconciliation bill that we do. And so we need to move further. One thing also that the CBO never talks about, and CBO is unfortunately not being trustworthy so much these days, is that what's going to grow the economy? What are we going to do to our debt to GDP ratio? That's the real thing. We're dealing with a monstrosity that has been 50 and 75 years in the making with both Republican and Democrat dereliction. You can't turn an aircraft carrier around on 5 miles. And so we're really doing a lot. There's no other intervention that has cut the budget so much as this one. It's not perfect. We're going to try to make it better in the Senate and try to do something really that's going to be great for the American people.
So, some estimates from the CBO is $2.4 trillion added to the deficit. That is a big concern. What is that 10%, Congressman, that does concern you that you would like to see changed either in the Senate or as it heads back to the House?
Yeah, there's some things, with the no tax on tips. I think that the senators are going to talk about some of the reform that's going on there. There are a few provisions that, I didn't like. I tried to get them out that I'd love to see them over in the Senate work on. They're going to work on, what's going to happen with SALT. I know that a lot of folks are dug in over here in the House on SALT. I think it's a little bit too much. That was $40,000 was given. We'll see what happens with some of these things. But we want to make it stronger. I do think that some of the tax cuts may need to be revised. And so, yeah, I do want us to work on our debt, on our deficit, but I also want this to be very much of a pro-growth policy that increases the delta between our GDP and our deficit.
One idea that the president floated on Truth Social was that the debt limit should be entirely scrapped to prevent an economic catastrophe. Boy, that would be something. Do you agree?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm really, I've heard that. I've really got to think about that. I think that having the debt limit there gives us cognizance. It gives us a memory every so often to remember, really, as a cognitive body, where we are going to. The bond markets are very concerned about America's ability to pay back its debt. And if we don't do this, if we don't get this right, in the long term, in the short term, really, again, this is just one step. And I think Elon needs to realize this. This is one step towards really bringing our finances back in line.
This isn't just a test for the president in getting his initiative passed, but it also is one for the Republican Party and how you all are working together. How would you characterize that right now?
Look, Marnie, I think Mike Johnson, as Speaker, has thread a needle that is very, very tiny, being able to get this bill out. Yes, it was only with one vote margin. One of our comrades who was going to vote for it slept through the thing. It's difficult when you have such a small majority and we have a couple people who are naysayers no matter what. But I think Mike has done a great job. They've had a great working relationship with Senator Thune and with the White House. I think we get this done. Is it perfect? No, we don't have perfect bills when you have wide disparities in thought on a Republican conference. Is it the best step moving forward? Is it a great initial step? Absolutely.
There's a lot of time between now and July 4th, but that clock is ticking. Is that a realistic deadline to get this to the president's desk signed?
I actually wondered whether we were going to get it out of the House by Memorial Day, but we did it then. I know the senators are working hard. We have to have hard deadlines. And I think it's doable. I think it's doable. We have smart individuals who care much about this country and the direction in which we're heading. I think it gets done, if not, pretty soon thereafter.
Congressman Greg Murphy, thanks for your time. I know you got a busy week ahead.
Yep, great. Thank you, Marnie.
Thank you.